and so many faces using their iPhones. I am going to be, I guess, the last speaker before lunch, so you are looking at the person that's between you and the lunch. I want to see how many of you really believe that you have earned the right to have lunch. How many of you did exercise today? One. How many more have done exercise? Couple more. Get up. Earn your right to get a lunch. There is no free lunch. Get up. Come on, get up. No exceptions. Get up or you're not gonna get any lunch. Come on. Oh, I see one person is still looking at his iPhone. Get up, come on. Yeah. Ah, God, it feels good. Doesn't it? Okay, now you can sit down. My name is Kamran Elahian, and I'm going to talk about a whole new economy. As a background, I was born in Iran, so I'm from the region, Middle East. I went to America when I was 18. I was a horrible student in Iran. Graduated from high school with C+, and everybody thought there was no hope for me. I was suffering a little bit of ADD, no patience. When I went to America, everything changed. I found that I didn't have to go and sit in the classes. So I was 28 years old, I had 2 bachelor degrees, and I got my master's before 22. I worked at HP, Corporate Engineering Labs in Palo Alto, and I was 26 years old when I started my first company. That company, before I was 30 years old, we sold it for 75 million, and started 9 more companies after that. 3 of them failed, the rest were acquired. One of them is still a zombie, we don't know what will happen to it. Of the 6 that had successes, 3 of them were multi-billion-dollar, very nice IPOs. So that's the first stage of my life. The second stage was global venture capital, and created Global Catalyst Partners in 1999, and we invested in US, Japan, China, India, Israel, Singapore. But the most important part of my life is the philanthropy side. Starting in 1996, we created Global Catalyst Foundation, and you will meet from my much better half. My wife, Zora Elahian, will be talking about some of the projects that we do over there. I should have introduced myself as I am the husband of Zora. This is the way I try to gain credibility when last time I was talking at World Economic Forum. But what is it that I'm doing in here, and why do I spend so much time in Middle East, in the Caucasus region, in North Africa? You all probably heard or read, or if you don't know about it, you should know, we went below $40. That was just last week. Now, once before in the last 10 years, we had a situation almost like this. So you could take an attitude that it's okay, it's gonna go up again, and everything would be fine. I have some bad news for you. I believe that we are sitting on a ticking bomb. We are sitting on a ticking bomb. The fossil-based economy is not going to go back up. There might be a few upticks here or there, tiny little things here or there. But the overall trend is the inventory of all the oil, gas, coal that is under our feet in any part of the planet is going to have lesser and lesser and lesser value. Why do I say that? That is a graph that Ray Kurzweil, Dr. Ray Kurzweil is one of the most amazing geniuses I've ever met in my life. God knows how many hundreds or thousands of patents he has in how many different fields like artificial intelligence, robotics, computer software, all sorts of things. He has been involved in molecular biology, driver behind many of the things. Right now he's the chief scientist at Google. This was one of his predictions. The price of oil in the 70s was around $75 to $80. And he predicted by year 2014 to create from photovoltaic 1 kilowatt hour of electricity, it would cost 36 cents. Dramatic drop in the cost of alternative energy using solar. Well, as it figures out, he was wrong. The actual price, November of 2014, wholesale, for solar energy to generate 1 kilowatt hour of electricity was 5.5 cents. At that time, in the heart of Texas, the heart of oil in the planet, Austin Energy was looking to build and order their next power plant. They calculated the cheapest fossil-based fuel for them, cheaper than oil and gas, was coal, and the cost was 7 cents. So guess what? Austin Energy, heart of Texas. We are not talking about progressive liberal states like California, Oregon, Washington. This is heart of oil. Austin Energy went with solar. So that's a key inflection point that we have passed. And if you think the price of $39 is too low, I have bad news for you. It's going to be a lot less. And Dr. Kurzweil says that according to Kurzweil law, he has projected the price continue to be halved every 2 years. And his prediction is by 2030, all of the energy of the world could be supplied, all the electricity, by solar for free. Now, when he says free, you have to understand when you are using not a linear, but when you are using a formula that halves itself every 2 years, this is disruptive. Same thing under Moore's law. When the first switching element was invented, the vacuum tube, it cost about $15 to $20. Today on your smartphone, you have 1 billion to 1.5 billion, 2 billion transistors. And the cost of the main processor is still about $15 to $20. So relatively speaking, it went from 1 to a couple billion for the same price. So it's effectively free, the cost of a one switching device. So the same thing is going to happen in here. And imagine the implications in terms of megatrend of what is going to happen if all the energy of the world is available to everyone for free using solar, because the sun is free. And we are developing storage technologies to grab that and hold it. And definitely within the next 20 years, it will be freely produced and distributed everywhere. In addition to that, there is another key element as a mega trend. It's the conscious consumption. The consumers are learning that we need to save our planet. Extractive economies based on destruction of the planet is not right, it's not justified. We can't destroy the world for our children or grandchildren. We used to have, in the 60s, 70s, huge amount of consumption of tobacco in the United States, in many parts of the world. And the tobacco companies were ignoring all the health hazards, till finally the consumers woke up and said enough is enough. And they had to go, all these tobacco companies tried to go and sell their products into developing countries where the level of awareness about the hazards of tobacco was not known. So that's the bad news. What is the good news? The good news is you can go from fossil-based economy to innovation economy. And we all know Silicon Valley has been the place that started to have all of this. Through all the ups and downs, the innovation economy allowed state of California to be fifth or sixth largest economy at any time. I don't know the exact ranking. I'm not talking about the fifth or sixth in the United States, the fifth or sixth economy, largest economy in the whole world. One state out of the United States. That's the power of innovation. Now, this is from 2011. If you look at the number of deals that were happening, 61% of the deals were done in Silicon Valley, and 85% of M&A was being done effectively by 20 companies were buying all of the high-tech companies. That's when 500 startups started to come and started to look at the things in a completely different way. And that's one of the reasons I'm here supporting them and admiring the fact of what they have done in inspiring and creating a whole new mega trend that is going to be full of good news. The need in the MENA region, lack of venture capital experience, especially with global, and lack of innovation ecosystem. Silicon Valley had a lot of innovation, but lack of interest in MENA and lack of insight into the region. How do you bridge the two of them? That's why Geeks on a Plane are here. That's why a program like that makes sense. Grab people from America, grab people from Europe, bring them in here, introduce them to the opportunities. We talk a lot about innovation ecosystem. Many of you might be wondering, what is it? Well, if you want to create innovation locally, you have to overcome these challenges. To overcome the challenges, we have to understand what is the proper innovation ecosystem. To create a successful enterprise, we have 4 basic phases. Phase 1 is ideation, coming up with an idea. Phase 2 is commercialization, setting up a corporation, getting somebody to pay money for that product or for that service. Phase 3 is to go and expand this business, scale it up. And phase 4, which to the investors is the most important one, is having exits, harvesting it, and returning the money. So that if investors make money, they become more interested and they will give you more money. Now, as Dave and other speakers mentioned, to go from step 1 to step 2, more than 90% of the companies fail. To go from step 2 to step 3, probably another 50 to 80, maybe 90% of companies fail again. So one might say, why bother? Why should you even worry about this? It's a lousy investment. Absolutely not. We need to develop a culture to celebrate the failure. I'm the poster child for the failure. 3 of my companies failed. I got fired twice. But the successful ones created over $8 billion. Over $8 billion value to my investors. Now, what we have to understand is, this is like sports. Roger Federer did not become Roger Federer because he went out there and he won all of his games. He loses, even today, many games. So does Djokovic. So does Michael Jordan. Any footballer you select. Losing is part of winning. That's how you get stronger. That's how you figure out as a champion what is your weakness and how you can go to the next step. And whether a company wins or loses, the society always wins. Why? Because assume you finance a company and it only has a life of 1 year. During that year, it employs 4 or 5 people. Each one of those people need a desk, need a chair, need a laptop, need a mobile phone. So they keep buying from other providers. And that's how circular economy works. And when they fail, they learn their next company has a higher chance. Or they go and join another company that has much better ability, and they sit on that, learn more, and then a few years later, come and start the next company. And the piece of good news I want to give you is, if you agree with me that the current economy, fossil-based economy, is going to go to zero, the solution is an economy that only requires young people with good brains. And MENA is full of young people with great brains. In the evolution of our species, we are in a very unique position that with just having good smarts, access to high-speed internet, we can create new companies who develop algorithms, capabilities in information technology, in nanotech, in molecular biology, and create significant companies. Some of them would be worth tens of millions, some of them hundreds of millions, and some of them billions of dollars. And another good news is, when you're using your brain, for the first time on evolution of our species, women and men are equal. And because it's about disruption, the women do not need the approval of their fathers or the older generation who tries to monopolize a market. That's why I celebrate the new innovation economy. And that's what I love about 500 startups. Roughly half of the staff are women, extremely capable, who really kick some serious ass. Thank you so much.
I really have to thank Kamran for those remarks. When I was getting a VC firm started, actually about 5 years ago, he was one of the first people that I went to in the Valley and asked for advice. I'd known him as an entrepreneur and as a venture capitalist, and he and his wife have really had a huge impact on me. I just wanted to tell a brief story before we go to lunch. Zori Elahian, Zori, I'm not sure where you are in the audience. She's over there. Could you stand up for just 1 second? Because I want people to get to know her and meet her. Yeah, okay, well, we'll stand up a little higher or stand in a chair. Kamran was an inspiration on entrepreneurship and venture capital, but Zori was also an inspiration both in philanthropy and social impact. I went to Palestine a few months ago, and actually not just Ramallah, but also Gaza, which for a white boy from Silicon Valley, I will tell you is an interesting story. I got a number of questions from my wife, from my parents, and from a lot of people like, why are you going to Gaza? And I was like, well, I want to see what the other parts of the Middle East. I've gone to Israel and we've invested in entrepreneurs there, but a lot more people in the Middle East are Arabic speakers, and I didn't really quite understand the story there. And Ramallah was eye-opening and great, and we met a lot of businesses there. I think one that we're looking at investing in, but Gaza was definitely, out of the way, not exactly where you would think that technology innovation is happening. Ilyana Montauk from Gaza Sky Geeks had invited me to come over, and Zori kept pushing me to go over as well. So I really had a tremendous opportunity to go visit. We went on a morning. And I had an awesome opportunity to meet entrepreneurs there. We got to talk to them about their businesses. I did a short talk. The lights went out during one of the parts of our talk, and then they came back on again. That was sort of an experience that you have to deal with in certain emerging markets, not just Gaza, but also India and Philippines and other places too. On the way back, I had a few challenges getting back across the border. I think we cut it a little bit too close. That day was ending up to be a holiday on the other side, and the border was closed when I got there. I got there about 5 or 10 minutes before the border was supposed to be closed, but someone had taken off a little bit early. And I had an experience that probably a lot of people in Western society don't have, which I was trapped on a border behind a wall, a stone wall, and then a steel gate with some bullet holes in it, and I was kind of screwed. I was not sure I was going to get back across the border. That would have been fine. I would have had friends back in Gaza to spend a couple of days with, but I was trying to get back across the border and get to Kazakhstan for another meeting, actually, with Kamran. And I didn't quite know what to do. I started calling friends on both sides in Israel and Gaza. I started tweeting and took a picture of the social media. I was waving at some cameras. Like, it's a pretty lonely feeling trying to get the attention of some security cameras behind a bunch of fences. And it's like, hi, I'm here. Would you open the fucking door so I can get back across? And meanwhile, people are, the other side of the border was still open for a few more hours, and people were coming back across into Gaza, and they were kind of looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? You are not going anywhere. Like, the looks that I got were making me really, really scared and depressed. They like, you're not getting back home. You should come back with us across to Gaza because you're not getting across the border today. And, I created a little bit of a firestorm. I will say that was a pretty amazing, scary, yet amazing opportunity. I was comfortable that if I had to go back to Gaza, that was going to be okay, but I was going to try to see if I could get a border reopened in effectively a war zone. Not necessarily the most likely thing that's going to happen for a hillbilly from West Virginia. It's like, hey, and so I spent about 2 hours waiting to see if this, cement steel gate was going to open back up. I won't tell you like exactly what happened. There was friends on both sides who helped make some things, a slight small miracle possible. But I will say that pretty much everyone in the tech ecosystem, either in Israel and in Palestine, and pretty much the entire region, knew that Dave McClure was screwed at the border in Gaza. Magically, that gate came up. About 2 hours later, I got back across the border. I was, thanking everybody on both sides for helping me get across the border. But that experience really changes how I think about the region, and I think that's different for people in Israel, different for people in the Gulf. Like, Gaza is not the most empowered region. They don't have a lot of opportunities. There's really some talented people there, but their opportunities are much more limited. And I think for folks who haven't had that experience, not being able to move across a border or get somewhere when you want to get there, that's, not the experience we all have. And we should think of ourselves quite fortunate when we have those opportunities. So really that gave me a lot of perspective on what people face every day in the region. Really makes me very passionate and motivated about the mission that we have here. We are going to invest in Palestine. We are going to invest in the region. We have already done that, and I think that I just want to impress upon you, like the work that we are doing is not just about making money. It is about changing lives, creating opportunity, empowering people, women and men, and it really makes a huge difference. And so as much as I want you to make money and do this because of the economic impact and returns, I also want you to think about your friends, family, brothers, sisters, children, uncles, whatever. You have a responsibility to make a difference in this region. And if some white guy from Silicon Valley is going to come here and invest in the country, you damn well better be doing it too. I want to embarrass you. I want to make you think like, why is this white guy beating me to the punch investing in my region? I'm on the board of a company that was founded in Saudi. I'm trying to get into 2 Saudi companies. Have you guys invested in Saudi? Have you guys invested in Palestine? Have you guys invested in Egypt? Have you invested in Jordan? Because I have. I have already. And Kuwait and Bahrain. Stop clapping and pull out your damn checkbook. If you think that I'm embarrassing you, I don't want to see you tell, oh, Dave, you're doing a great job, really good. Look, screw that. Pull out your checkbook and write a fucking check. That is when I will give you respect, is when you write a check for an entrepreneur in the region, or you write a check for a fund to get started in the region, and stop building so goddamn many hotels. Because I guarantee you, this hotel is not completely full, and a lot of other hotels in the region are not completely full. Each one of those hotels costs $500 million to $1 billion. You could finance the entire market of venture capital for half a hotel. You don't need that many more hotels. You need a lot more entrepreneurs and jobs because the price of oil is going to zero fast. You better hurry up.